here in this arena, 13,300 people, but we have over 35,000 people are watching this on the internet all around the world right now. So it's not too late to send out a tweet or text a friend and let them know they can watch it all live at harvest.org. And last night we had a great night. You know, we saw over 1,000 people come down on this floor to make a commitment to follow Jesus Christ. Isn't that great? You may be wondering why we keep the floor empty. In a few minutes, you're going to know why. Because it's going to be full, not with a mosh pit, but with people coming to Jesus Christ. So that's what this is all about. We have one more night to go, and one thing I want to remind you of, don't forget that there is a time change. We're all going to fall back, all right? But the good news is we get an extra hour of sleep. So, it'll be nice. Don't forget, tomorrow night we start at 6 o'clock for the final night of the Seattle Harvest, and tomorrow night is going to be a very special evening. We're going to have amazing music, of course, from Jars of Clay and Mercy Me. They're the best. No question. I mean, that alone will be worth coming out for, but I think the theme will really resonate with a lot of folks. We're calling it an evening of hope. And this is a night for anyone who is hurting, or if you know someone who is hurting. I mean that they're in great pain. Maybe it's because of an illness. Maybe it's because of the loss of a job or a marriage, or more significantly, the loss of a loved one, or they're having other struggles in their life and they're in pain. We're going to deal with those hard questions that people ask, like, why is there suffering in the world? How could a God of love allow this to happen? And then more to the point, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people, even godly people? Well, there are answers to those questions, and we'll deal with them tomorrow night. It starts at 6 o'clock, so make sure you join us, because the Lord's going to do a wonderful work. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the meaning of life. Why? Because from the moment you were born, you have been on a quest. But what you were searching for was not completely clear, but you wanted your life to have some kind of meaning and purpose, and you wanted to be happy. It's been said that there are two things that are true of every person. We all want to be happy, and we're all going to die. So from the very beginning, we search for the meaning of life. And why is this? It's because we were created by God. We are not a highly evolved animal. Dogs don't sit around and think about the meaning of life. You know, you think your dog sits in his backyard and thinks, what is the meaning of my life? I've tried everything this world has to offer. Chasing cats, eating roadkill, drinking toilet water, and none of it's filled the void of my life. No, dogs don't think stuff like that. Cats definitely don't think about it. But people do. You do. If you'll be honest, you ask yourself the question, why am I here on this earth? What's going to happen when I die? One thing I forgot to mention, very important, tomorrow night in our evening of hope, we're going to have a very special guest. His name is Nick Boyachich. And Nick was born without arms and legs. Yet despite this severe disability, Nick is going to share his story of hope. And I remember I've talked with Nick many times, and he told me after he was born, I mean, imagine how he would be made fun of by cruel children, not having arms or legs. And yet, he said, I began to wonder, why am I here on this earth? How could a God of love let this happen to me? He even contemplated suicide. But yet, Nick said, he found hope. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow night. But maybe you've wondered, why am I here? Why are things going the way that they're going? I've suffered so much in life. What is this all about? A philosopher named Hugh Moorhead from a major university once wrote to 250 of the best-known philosophers, scientists, writers, and intellectuals all around the world, and he asked asked them this question: what is the meaning of life? Some offered their best guesses. Some admitted they just made up a purpose for life. Others were honest enough to say they were clueless, and a number of them asked Moorhead to write back and tell them if he had discovered the meaning of life. We need to know what this is all about. You know why? Life goes by fast, folks. As Revive was singing a few moments ago, life just comes and goes. It happens in a blink. So we want to think about what we're living for, and especially you that are young, think about it now. Because if you don't have a purpose in life, you can end up wasting it. It's been said if you aim at nothing, you're bound to hit it. Life marches on. It's been said that there are 4 stages to life. Stage number 1, you believe in Santa Claus. Stage number 2, you don't believe in Santa Claus. Stage number 3, you become Santa Claus. And stage number 4, you look like Santa Claus. That's where I am right now. So we search. We search for meaning. Some think they'll find it through a degree. Some think they'll find it through a career. Some think they'll find it through drugs or alcohol. Others think they'll find it in sex. I read a quote from Russell Brand, a comedian from England. He's been in a few films, recently married Katy Perry. When he lived in England, he says, at least he claims, that he would have sex with 5 girls a day. And he said that's why he came to America. He said, this is what I wanted to do, to live for these things. He said in this interview, I'm constantly distracted by my ambition, my narcissism, my vanity, my desire, and my lust. I have to work hard on spiritual things because, he says, I'm a stinking, wretched monument to self-absorption. He's been a heavy drug user, using LSD, crack, and heroin. He says, quote, what I've realized, though, is that all that stuff I've used is that glowing orb of amusement, status, fame, power, money, fulfillment of dreams. It's all meaningless and transient. What I'm wondering is, while I'm in the belly of the beast, in the eye of the storm, can I swim through it all and cut my way free like Jonah and discover something valuable and escape with something worthwhile? I don't know. Maybe that describes you. You're chasing after these things. I know that I did. You saw that little video clip at the beginning of our evening that showed an image of my mom, who was a dead ringer from Marilyn Monroe. I was raised in the craziest home imaginable. My mom was a raging alcoholic, married and divorced 7 times, had a lot of boyfriends in between that. I was conceived out of wedlock. I ended up living with my grandparents for a time, went to military school for a time, lived with my mom, and one drunken incident when she got in a fight with one of her husbands, he hit her across the head and she was knocked unconscious and was lying in a pool of blood. And as a little 7-year-old boy, I came and found this scene, and if I hadn't got out of that house and called the police, I think she would have been dead and I would have been killed as well. That was my upbringing. But yet my mom knew affluent people and she was living this swinging life. But I knew even as a kid, this is not where it's at. There has to be more to life than this. But then ironically, as I got older, I got into the party scene and drinking and smoking, etc. And then the whole drug culture was coming on strong, and we were all told that drugs would expand our consciousness. And we had all of our heroes that we looked up to, like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles. The Beatles told us all we need is love. Then they broke up. And even before I had become a believer in Jesus, I knew the answers were not in these other things. I knew it wasn't in affluence. I saw the life my mom had lived. I knew it wasn't in drinking and partying. I certainly knew it was not in drugs, but where was it? Well, I was going to school in Southern California, and we had a group of people on our campus that were very unaffectionately referred to as the Jesus Freaks. And